This is important. Climate change. UN emissions gap report a thundering wake-up call. National plans to cut carbon fall short of what's needed to avert dangerous climate change, according to the UN Environment Programme. This has been true for forever, by the way. For like at least a decade, this has been the case. So with current plans, the world is on course to warm to around 2.7 degrees Celsius. Above pre-industrial revolution levels. And the goal for this century is 1.5 degrees Celsius. So what that means is that basically at 1.5 degrees Celsius, we can avoid a lot of the worst effects that climate change will cause. Like, there's not going to be too many coastal regions or island nations underwater. And, there's not going to be these ridiculous, disastrous positive feedback loops where like some initial change in the climate which causes some secondary change that in turn increases the effects of the initial change, like ad infinitum. So, 1.5 is already pretty bad. 2.7 will be utterly fucking disastrous. Like, obviously humans are going to survive in some capacity, but like within like 100, 200 years, we'd have to have evacuated coastal areas. Most of them will be underwater because sea levels would have raised a ridiculous degree due to melting polar ice caps. That's just one thing. There'll be far more natural disasters. In general, there's a million fucking reasons why this is terrible. And of course, countries are not committing to what's remotely needed. And do you know why they're not committing to what's remotely needed? It's because they do not have the interests of you and the average person at heart. They have the interests of lobby groups at heart. Lobby groups for fossil fuel companies are the reason why, especially the first world, which is the part of the world that can and should transition to clean energy first before helping the rest of the world do so. They are the reason why it doesn't happen. We have the technology. It would take like 10, 15 years maximum for these countries to build like a bunch of nuclear power plants, mostly as backup batteries, wind power, solar power, etc., and transition to practically entirely renewable energy and nuclear energy focused economies and focused power grid. But why don't they do it? Because people want to sell fossil fuels still. And the people who want to do that, the companies who want to do that, are incredibly powerful and have amazingly massive influence. So that's the reason why, in very simple terms, that we're all going to die. Well, okay, maybe not all of us are going to die, but you might want to move inland. That'll give you the highest chance of survival. But no one's going to be able to get away from the effects. Some more than others. Like, some people are going to, Indonesia is going to be completely under fucking water, and everyone from there is going to try to get into like Australia or something, or China as refugees. And they're going to be trying to get to countries that themselves had a lot of their coastline enveloped by the sea. And those countries are then probably going to use their military to like mass murder desperate immigrants who are fleeing from climate problems caused in their own country, largely by the countries that they're going to be fleeing to. So it's basically going to be incredibly fucked up, and I don't have much hope that it's going to be avoidable. If you've seen Waterworld, imagine Kevin Costner's Waterworld, but with 50% of the world enveloped by the sea instead of all of it. That's what we're going to be living in. There's going to be so many auxiliary effects of the effects of climate change on politics, on society, not even just talking about the direct immediate material effects. Like, what effect is like millions upon millions of people desperately leaving island nations, for example, going to have on the politics of the rest of the world, on the society of the rest of the world, and the economies of the rest of the world? Are they just going to fucking kill them? What's going to happen? Who knows? These are all these questions that we're going to have to deal with, because there's literally no fucking way at this point that countries just randomly going to commit to what needs to be done to stop catastrophic climate change. Doesn't matter how much activism people do at this point. It's not going to happen. There's not going to be the needed socialist revolution. 55% cuts by 2030 for 1.5 degrees Celsius to be possible. This comes from the UN IPCC, by the way, which is like the most important global advisory body on climate change. So yeah, we're kind of fucked. What's going to happen? I don't know, but luckily you guys give me money, so I'm going to be able to evacuate to high ground and live in like a fucking mansion on stilts or something to avoid the effects of climate change while I post on Twitter and you guys get enveloped by the sea or whatever. So at the end of the day, whatever. My Sims will keep me alive. At least, no, don't get enveloped by the sea. New rule. Don't get enveloped by the sea. I need you guys at least alive so that you can give me money. So move inland now, in advance, right? This is the Save the Bad Empanada stream plan, okay? You all need to move inland and prepare yourselves for the coming climate apocalypse so you can keep sending me money and I can continue to live a life of unimaginable luxury. Please.